You're listening to the Heartland Newsfeed Radio Network, heartlandnewsfeed.com.
The Public News Service Daily Newscast for Tuesday, January the 15th, 2019. I'm Mike Clifford. Representative Steve King removed from all committee assignments. Also on the Tuesday rundown, Indiana among states working to fight food insecurity during the government shutdown. Plus, 9 years on, watchdogs are still watching for reforms to Citizens United. First, our top story, Republican Representative Steve King of Iowa removed from committee assignments following racist remarks. CNN reporting that House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy announced the removal on Monday, the latest development in a bipartisan condemnation of King's recent interview that appeared to lament that the term white supremacist is considered offensive. CNN reports McCarthy announced the House Republican Steering Committee, which oversees the assignments, met Monday night and made a decision King will not serve on committees in this Congress. King responded by criticizing the move, saying that Leader McCarthy's decision to remove me from the committee is a political decision that ignores the truth. With the federal government shut down in its fourth week, state and federal leaders, along with hunger fighting groups, are working to ensure that struggling families are able to put food on the table.
Under the direction of the USDA, the Indiana Family and Social Services Administration will issue benefits from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program for the month of February tomorrow. Feeding Indiana's Hungry Executive Director, Emily Weichert-Bryant, says while the early distribution is very much appreciated, there still are serious concerns the shutdown will deepen hunger in the state.
It's impacting real people, it's impacting families, it's impacting someone you know, more than likely. There are 600,000 Hoosiers who use the SNAP program. There are several thousand federal employees and their families who are being impacted by this shutdown.
Distribution for March SNAP benefits is unknown and will depend on reserve funding or the shutdown ending. State officials are asking SNAP recipients to budget their benefits to ensure the amount received provides for their food needs through the entire month of February. Mary Sherman reporting.
As part of opening day of the 2019 New Mexico legislature, the state's Voices for Children group will release its annual New Mexico Kids Count data book.
Deputy Director Amber Wallen says there have been improvements in teen birth rates, increased rates of kids covered by insurance, higher preschool enrollment, and reduced child poverty. But the state's dead last ranking for child well-being reported last summer means lawmakers have more work to do.
We see big disparities for children of color, and that our rankings in many indicator areas, including the fact that we are now last in the nation, 50th in overall child well-being. All of those things are really holding us back from making more progress for our kids.
A 2018 court ruling found that New Mexico is violating the rights of at-risk students by not providing adequate resources for low-income and minority families. I'm Roz Brown.
That state's newly elected Democratic governor has promised to address the state's low education rankings. Visitors at national parks across the country are witnessing mountains of trash, overflowing toilets, and damaged property as several sites remain open during the shutdown.
Two groups are calling for an investigation by the Office of the Inspector General of the Department of the Interior into what they say is a reckless decision by the department to keep many parks open without enough staff to ensure visitors and natural resources are protected. In previous shutdowns in 2013 and 1995, all parks were closed to the public. Kristen Brangle with the National Parks Conservation Association says the last thing the department should be doing is inviting more people into potentially dangerous situations.
They're essentially manufacturing a crisis here by allowing parks to remain open. If parks were closed and just had essential staff, then those staff who were there would just be monitoring the parks to make sure that they were safe.
To address some of the problems, the National Park Service issued a statement that it would divert funds from camping and other fees to ensure that parks are protected and that visitors can continue to access parks with limited basic services. I'm Tremel Gomes.
And finally, Dan Hyman reports that critics of the Citizens United court decision say it's resulted in an explosion of dark money, possibly even from foreign sources. But some see hope in a new package of reforms just passed by the U.S. House.
The Supreme Court handed down Citizens United 9 years ago this month. Sheila Krumholtz is with the Center for Responsive Politics. She thinks the court didn't realize how big an impact it would have to create a loophole for anonymous donations to fund and influence American political campaigns. Krumholtz says that secret money can have long strings attached.
We can't know if it comes from Russia or Saudi Arabia or China or from Nevada. Troubling enough that corporate interests might hold such sway, or unions. But even more troubling is the notion that our sovereignty could be at risk.
Citizens United's lawyers argued the donations are a form of free speech. Watchdogs cite the campaign finance reforms in the We the People Act, which just passed the House. Some say it includes needed tightening of the laws. The new Democratic leadership of the House specifically chose the We the People Act as the first piece of legislation the body would take up and pass. It looks unlikely to pass the Republican-controlled Senate and even less likely to receive the signature of President Donald Trump if it reaches his desk.
The We the People Act includes provisions to make it easier to vote and to prevent voter suppression. I'm Mike Clifford. Thanks for Newsin' and Cruisin' with Public News Service. We are member and listener supported, and we're online at publicnewsservice.org.
Illinois on a Tuesday morning. I'm Rita Frazier here at the RFD Radio Network. Lots of news coming your way. Boots on the ground, as we like to say. Farm Week now, and RFD Radio's Mike Orso covers the American Farm Bureau Federation annual meeting for us, including the visit from President Donald Trump yesterday. That makes two. Last year he attended, this year again to mark the 100th anniversary of the AFBF annual meeting. Mike has a wrap for us in the first segment. We'll also hear a complete summary of what the government shutdown is costing us. Our FD Washington correspondent Matt Kay dives into that story. We'll also hear markets and weather. Dan Hicks keeps a close watch on that next weather system coming into the Midwest, potentially this weekend, another rocky one for us here in Illinois. Farm Week's Dan Grant shares with us some of his conversations that took place at the Purdue University's Top Farmer Conference. He'll talk with Wally Tyner. He's an ag economist talking about the effect of tariffs on soybean prices. That and much more coming your way on this edition of RFD Illinois. Stay with us.
With this week's edition of Farm Week, the early word, here's Delosh Yonke.
Benefits from the new United States-Mexico-Canada trade agreement will be negated by tariffs and U.S. withdrawal from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, according to the Center for Global Trade Analysis. Get in-depth information about the current agricultural trade situation in the latest Farm Week. Bureau County farmer Michael Ganshow and his crop advisor Malcolm Stambaugh of AgView FS have earned a national 4R award from the Fertilizer Institute. Learn more about their award-winning conservation efforts in this week's edition of Farm Week.
No other Farm Weekly in Illinois has as many people on the ground in Illinois covering Illinois agriculture for you with the depth on key issues to help keep you profitable. And don't forget, you can get daily or even more frequent updates online anytime at farmweeknow.com.
We're back here on RFD Illinois. I'm Rita Frazier. 7 U.S. presidents have addressed a convention of the American Farm Bureau Federation over its 100 years, but only one has done it 2 years in a row. RFD's Mike Orso provides highlights from President Donald Trump's address to Farm Bureau members at the 100th AFBF meeting taking place in New Orleans.
President Trump pleaded his case Monday once again for a border barrier, spending at least half his time with farmers, explaining what he's asking for from the U.S. Congress.
We need that barrier because you can't do this. You can have all the people you want dressed in military. You can have ICE. You can have Border Patrol. If you don't have that barrier, there's not a thing you can do.
Many Illinois and other U.S. farmers depend on foreign labor to milk cows, care for animals, and harvest crops. The president addressed that need this way.
You need people to help you with the farms, and I'm not going to rule that out. I'm going to make that easier for them to come in and to work the farms. You've had some people for 20, 25 years. They're incredible. Then they go home, and they can't get back in. That's not going to happen. But we're keeping the wrong ones out, okay? We don't want the wrong ones coming into our country. And for that, it's going to be almost impossible to get in. For the people that work the farms, that have been here, that have gone through this very short but good process, that are going to help our country, it's going to be easier for them to get in.
On the issue of trade, the president noted the need for continued negotiations with China on tariffs, but also benefits that can be gained if and when Congress considers the proposed U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement negotiated last year. Following the address, Illinois Farm Bureau President Rich Giebert, who farms in southern Illinois, had this reaction.
I think there's still some work to do, but he gave us assurances they're working hard at it. And I think a good signal was last week when our trade negotiators spent an extra day in Beijing trying to lay out a framework going forward. I can't help but believe that what the challenges and issues they have in China, from the swine fever, lack of protein for those citizens in China, that they'll get things moving along. But it is important. What the president has raised some serious issues that China has infringed on intellectual property and property rights of companies that have done business in China and around China, not playing by the rules.
Closing his remarks to the AFBF meeting, the president told farmers that the greatest harvest is yet to come.
You are the keepers of this noble tradition. You are the guardians of this majestic heritage. We are standing up for the men and women who work the fields, till the soil, and harvest the land. We are protecting your rights, your freedoms, and our glorious Constitution.
Up next will be the American Farm Bureau's business session, where farmers will consider policy changes for the organization on Tuesday. In New Orleans, for the RFD Radio Network, I'm Mike Orso.
Thanks, Mike. Meanwhile, the record-long partial government shutdown is likely to cost billions. RFD Washington correspondent Matt Kay has more.
Everyone knows how tough it is to get back to work after a long absence. But if you're USDA with a huge backlog of farm program and other applications, implementing a new farm bill, paying furloughed workers and more, it's daunting. How and when the partial government shutdown of 9 federal departments and other agencies ends, no one knows. But the cost will be huge in paying workers for no work, overtime to catch up, and impacts of lost services and a delayed farm bill. American Farm Bureau Director Dale Moore earlier this month.
It's always a challenge to implement a farm bill because there are a lot of changes and the ability of farmers to come in and sign up for the coming crop year, particularly given where the markets have been. This is certainly going to be a challenge and one we're hoping gets resolved very soon.
Moore says farmers can't make key planting decisions until the shutdown's resolved and USDA has money.
The risk management options, whether it's crop insurance or the farm programs themselves, and certainly some of the other provisions in the farm bill is farmers making plans, for the conservation programming, and all of those pieces are critically important.
USDA also can't process new tariff rescue payment requests, and EPA also shut down, can't do a rule for year-round E15 use, and shutdown costs are piling up. The Washington Post reports a 2-week shutdown in October 13 during the Obama years cost an estimated $2.5 billion and more than $2 billion in lost economic output. For the RFD Radio Network, Matt Kay, Washington.
Thanks, Matt. More news is up next. This is RFD Illinois.
Here in Illinois, it's everywhere, and it's used in so many things. We're talking about Illinois homegrown corn. It's fuel for your vehicle on the way to the game. It's a delicious corn-fed bacon cheeseburger that's the talk of the tailgate. Corn is even used to make things like plastic water bottles and lipstick. We're proud that Illinois runs on homegrown corn, and you should be too. Learn more about how corn shows up in unexpected places at watchusgrow.org/corn. A message from Illinois corn farmers and their checkoff.
All Ag.
All Illinois.
All Now.
There are a lot of smartphone apps out there, but do they have what's important to us here in Illinois? The Farm Week Now app does, and it's always at your fingertips. All Ag, All Illinois, and 24/7 where and when you need it for free. Go to your app or Play Store on your smartphone, Hit search, type in Farm Week Now, that's one word, and download it today. Brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau, where we're all about farm, family, and food.
Your farm is your livelihood. To help you take steps to protect it, Country Financial crop experts have teamed up with your local County Farm Bureau to host a crop seminar near you this winter. Don't miss this chance to learn about important industry updates, snack on tasty treats, snag free Country branded gear, and enter to win some great door prizes. Find out when a winter crop meeting is coming to a location near you by visiting countrycrop.com or ilfb.org. We look forward to seeing you. No purchase necessary. This is a no-cost, no-obligation educational seminar and insurance sales presentation. Federal crop insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois, an equal opportunity provider. Country Financial is a part of the Illinois Farm Bureau family of companies. Illinois Farm Bureau is Illinois' nonpartisan agricultural advocate organization.
Hey, Illinois soybean farmers, if you want to be the best of the best, your journey to the top starts at the summit. The 2019 Soybean Summit is coming back to Springfield February 5th, and it's your greatest opportunity to hear experts share the latest tips, tools, and technologies for boosting yields, maximizing profitability, and producing the preferred bean in the industry. Register for free today at ilsoy.org/summit. That's ILSOY.org/summit.
We're back here on RFD Illinois. I'm Rita Frazier. Farm Week's Dan Grant recently covered Purdue University's Top Farmer Conference. There, he caught up with Wally Tyner, Purdue University ag economist, to discuss the effects of tariffs on soybean prices and potential shifts in acreage in this coming crop season.
Here with Wally Tyner, ag economist, Purdue University, at Purdue's Top Farmer Workshop. Talking trade, Wally, as you often do, and recently reran numbers to see how the impact of tariffs and such have been on our soybeans in particular. So what are some of the key findings?
The key finding in my mind is that this is a lose-lose proposition for the U.S. and China. We both lose $2.6 billion a year because of this trade war, just for agriculture, not including the rest of the economy. Of course, the real winner is Brazil. They gain over $2 billion a year. So it's in the interest of both the U.S. and China to try to find a resolution so that both countries can try to get back on the growth path, get back on the normal trading regime, and I hope that's what happens.
And obviously most centered on soybeans, although, like you noted, we do send a large portion of our sorghum exports also to China, but obviously the big impact soybeans. What are some of the numbers you're seeing right now when you specifically run the soybean numbers?
Well, our estimate, and this is medium term, this is not this month or next month, it's medium term over a couple of years, is that if this continues, but if it continues, we could lose 69% of our share of the Chinese market. We could lose 29% of our global market, and that's because other countries would take production away from us. And so that's the real danger, is if this continues, Brazil's going to increase acreage, Argentina will increase acreage, and once they have it in production, it's gone forever.
And you noted there is still time that they would need to see a long-term signal for that to happen, right. But there's quite a bit of acreage there. So what type of time are we talking about, and what should farmers be looking at right now?
I think we need to resolve that this year. If we don't get it resolved this year, maybe a little longer than that, the investment in Brazil in particular will start increasing. Acreage will start increasing more. It's in our interest to get this resolved quickly.
And it's also obviously changed the flow of beans, as we are not sending the ones to China, and we're also sending some to Argentina and among other places. So talk about how that's just changed the whole dynamics here this past year.
Yeah, we call this trade diversion. So Brazil finds it much more attractive to ship more beans to China. That means they can't fill some of their other markets. So we backfill the other markets to take them away from Brazil. But in the near term, it's not enough to compensate for the loss in the Chinese market. And in the long term, it's certainly not, because then Brazil can and will expand their acreage if this were to continue.
And while it looks like they do have some incentive to expand, it seems a bit the opposite here. And I think some of your numbers showed that we may decrease soy production here if this continues, like you noted. Absolutely. What are your thoughts on how this could impact U.S. production of soybeans if, again, this continues?
Yeah, we show that in the medium term, we could lose 13% of our soybean production. Of course, the prices would go down. So it is not a pretty picture.
Definitely not. Wally, anything else you'd like to add on the situation right now or any of the other numbers?
I think it's important to also think about the NAFTA 2 or USMCA agreement. It's a marginal change from the old NAFTA agreement. It is an improvement, I think, in many respects. We have a bigger access in dairy and a little bit more in poultry. But it's important that that agreement be approved. If, for some political reasons or whatever, it's not approved and NAFTA goes away, agriculture will suffer big time. Agriculture exports and imports from Canada and Mexico are really important for U.S. agriculture. And so if we were to lose the free trade advantage of those markets, that could be big-time trouble for agriculture.
Thanks to Dan Grant for coverage of that Purdue University Top Farm Conference. Read more about Dan's coverage in this week's edition of Farm Week. Well, Jim Taylor in Aledo over the weekend to cover a farmland sale for Bob Carroll, the late Bob Carroll, that farm south of Aledo. Jim talked to auctioneer Dale Jones about the property.
Nice big 340-acre tract. Didn't really make a lot of sense to split the farm up. We looked at splitting it into smaller tracts. Just didn't make economic sense. The family really wanted to see it sell as one big tract, so that's how we proceeded. Nice amount of tillable acreage, 208, a little over 208 acres, 120.1 PI, so that's a kind of a B- farm, but well cared for. Some timber, possibly loggable, a lot of recreational possibilities, and a beautiful home site.
Thanks, Jim, for that coverage. Again, that farm south of Aledo, 344 acres, sold for $5,950 per acre. Jim will be back in just a moment to check the overnight markets, and we'll check in with Dan Hicks for a weather forecast. This is RFD Illinois.
With the RFD Ag Market Summary for this Tuesday morning, I'm Jim Taylor. Corn slightly higher, beans lower, and wheat ending Monday lower. March corn closing at 378.5, up 1/4. May corn up 1/4, 387. And July corn 394 3/4, up 1/2. March beans closing at 903.5, down 6 3/4. May beans down 6.5, 917 1/4. July beans 930, down 6 1/4. March wheat closing at 514 1/4, down 5 1/4. May wheat down 5 1/4, 519 3/4. And July wheat 524.5, down a nickel. March bean meal 311.80, that's down 2.80. January bean oil 28.11, down 6 cents. And current electronic overnight trading, March corn up 1 3/4, May corn up 1 3/4, July corn 396.5, up 1 3/4. March beans in the overnight up 2 1/4, May beans up 2 pennies, and July beans up to 9.32. March wheat in the overnight up 2, May wheat up 1.5 pennies, and July wheat up 2 pennies, 526.5. In the outside markets, March Brent crude oil under $60 a barrel, 58.99, down 149. The February gold contract 12.8910, down 220. In the livestock market, February lean hogs 61.85, down 80 cents. April lean hogs down 52 cents, 66.82. February live cattle 125.42, up 45 cents. April live cattle up 30 cents, 126.67. January feeders 144.85, down 127. March feeder cattle 144.40, down 50 cents. Illinois direct barrels and gilts trading steady on Monday at 30 to 36. That's the RFD Ag Market Summary for this Tuesday morning. I'm Jim Taylor with the RFD Radio Network.
Good morning, this is Dan Hicks from Freeze Notice Weather with the early morning weather update on the RFD Radio Network for this Tuesday morning. Daytime highs in the 20s and 30s were common across much of the Midwest yesterday. Any warmer readings were confined to areas south of the Midwest and a few far western locations. An extensive area of low cloud cover and fog continues to blanket much of the Midwest and has done so for at least the past 24 hours in most areas. There have been some areas of light freezing drizzle, and snow flurries across the region since Monday. No major amounts of precipitation, though, occurred in most areas. Low clouds, fog, and some scattered light mixed precipitation will continue across the region this morning. Most precipitation amounts will be quite light. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies will continue into the afternoon today. Most highs across the Midwest today will be in the upper 20s and 30s, with some 40s in the far south and the far west. No major precipitation is expected here in Illinois through the day tomorrow. 2 weather systems will be affecting the area, though, later this week into the weekend. The first one is fairly weak and will be passing through the area Thursday and Thursday night. This will bring some measurable snow in the 1 to 4 inch range over northern and central Illinois, and some mixed precipitation to the southern part of the state. A stronger storm system will get developed over the Plain States on Friday and work its way eastward across the region this weekend. This has the potential to produce some heavier snowfall amounts over the central and northern Midwest, including the central and northern portions of Illinois, Friday night through Saturday night. It will be warm enough in some southern parts of the Midwest, where this precipitation will fall as a mix. Behind this weekend system, colder Arctic air moving in from the north will drop temperatures down well below normal across the region this weekend into Monday. Once again, I'm Dan Hicks from Freeze Notice Weather.
Yes, I listen to a lot of talk radio, but I wouldn't call myself a political junkie. I guess that's why I like being a member of the Illinois Farm Bureau. No matter what my comfort level is, Farm Bureau has something for me and my farm. As an Illinois Farm Bureau member, I can pick and choose what's best for me, from reading election news in Farm Week to actually going to Washington. That's enough to make me a policy nut after all.
Call your county Farm Bureau and customize your membership today.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us.
All of us.
You're going to need our technical skills,
Our math, our engineering skills.
You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food. You're going to need our organizational skills, our problem-solving skills.
You're going to need our determination, our honesty, our compassion.
You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. And we promise, we'll be there when you need us. Today, 4-H is growing the next generation of leaders. Support us at 4h.org.
Farm Week and Partners Magazine editor Chris Anderson connects rural routes for you. Chris shares her 4 decades of riding expertise by making sure each edition delivers the best information. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I was raised on a farm in Champaign County growing corn, soybeans, popcorn, pumpkins, and poultry. My top priority is to inform, educate, and even entertain Farm Bureau members.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
That is all the time we have for this edition of RFD Illinois. Thanks for spending some time with us today. We want to salute an Illinois community, Whitehall, in Greene County. Population 2,520. Their zip code 62092. Hello to Whitehall. Country Financial brings you your salute to an Illinois community. Your farm is your family's legacy and part of your hometown heritage. While you work sun up to sundown to get that job done, they're protecting the things that you love every step of the way. Country Financial. Learn more by visiting them at countrycrop.com. On behalf of the entire RFD radio team, I'm Rita Frazier. Have a great day. Thank you for joining us here on the RFD Radio Network.
Hey, you know, a great way to reach farmers, reach those in agriculture, is through local radio. In fact,